everybody. Manning here, Josue Pavon. It is opening night, MSG, Celtics, Knicks, just hours away. And we'll have all your coverage here for CLNS Media, Celtics All Access. Just hit shoot around, heard from Jason Tatum as well as Derek White. A little bit on the no extension. Covered that yesterday, so you can go check out a video on that on Celtics All Access. We're going to talk a little bit about Wyc, who I'm sure will be in the house tonight for this big season opener, one of the most hyped Celtics seasons in a while. And he went on WEEI, I believe this morning, and said he imagined big changes right in the middle of Game 7 as the Celtics fell behind big in that game and looked like their season was going to fade to a disappointing finish after a near comeback. I don't think anyone could have imagined the kind of changes we ended up seeing this offseason, but he looked at it and said something's got to change here, and he was probably right?
Yeah, I mean, he was right. I mean, it's obvious that they were eager enough to do that when they went out and made those moves. But I think it's interesting for him to say that, especially right now, especially when you're in that moment. I mean, there was, I'm sure, points throughout Game 7 when he thought to himself, man, this team's probably not going to come back. It's time to make changes. But I wonder if those names were names that were already mentioned beforehand, right? Or maybe there were names that someone like Brad Stevens mentioned as, man, that guy would be ideal. Maybe we can sometime down the line try to trade for someone like that. You wonder if that's a reason why those names in particular came to mind. Guys like Jrue Holiday, guys like Kristaps Porzingis. But I mean, obviously, we know that they make the most sense when you look at what this team needed compared to last year's team.
Yeah, and I think it had to be. You never know who's going to be available. Of course, they couldn't imagine Jrue Holiday, and they didn't until the whole Lillard trade went through.
Right.
But maybe they had an eye on Porzingis. I think the biggest thing is maybe Grant's not back. Maybe we move on from Smart and try that at this point. Again, I've said it over and over again. I don't think that was a midnight call after the Brogdon trade fell apart to move on from him.
Right, no, but you look at the roster, you look at how much money guys are making, he was obviously going to be the odd man out. I mean, when he spoke to both of us back in July, Bobby, it made the most sense, and we all agreed with that. We're like, yeah, Marcus, I mean, if this team's going to make a move, you're the top asset on top of, obviously, future first-round picks and all that, but when it comes to a player, he was always going to be that guy. So I just think when you consider the quotes that we heard from Marcus when he spoke to us compared to what he's saying down in Memphis, it was sort of the same thing, saying like, look, man, I spoke to them a week before. They told me I was good. I found out the way everyone else found out, so I think it still kind of stings a little bit. But I think you're not going to double check with your team, with your organization, if that's not the case. And it wasn't just the rumors, in my opinion. I just think he saw things the way we do, right? As reporters, as analysts, if this team's going to make a big move, it's probably going to involve Marcus Smart.
Yeah, and credit to Wyc. I think, this is a Brad and Joe thing, right? I don't think Wyc's coming downstairs and saying, these guys got to go. Is a conversation they all had. The big credit Wyc gets at this point is the willingness to add significantly to the payroll and expand the luxury tax. I mean, they didn't get a deal done with Derek White, and we talked to him about that a little bit today. You can go check that out on CLNS Media. But you have to think they're going to commit to him on a sizable deal at some point. Jrue Holiday, I think, could be a substantial number, $40-50 million a year, and that's going to be big luxury tax. And he has said over and over again, we're going to go for it. We're going to do it as long as we win, and as long as we have a contending team, we're going to pay that big money. The deal is, though, maybe he didn't see this last version of the team after so many runs as that contending team.
Yeah, maybe. That's a strong possibility. I mean, there's an obvious, a significant age gap between the two, right? So if you're the Celtics, you kind of have to, I mean, not to say you have to wait and see what you're going to get out of Jrue Holiday, but see how his body responds after the season, following the upcoming year. I think that option is what really made trading for Jrue Holiday a no-brainer. That he could, opt into that final year, and then they can renegotiate sometime down the line. But when it comes to Derek White, I do think that both sides want that to happen. At some point, they want him to be a big part of this team's future. But if you're White's agent and in White's camp, you want to make sure you're maximizing your dollars.
You want the max, yeah.
Right. You want the max, and I think another year of Derek White proving himself like he did last year, with the obvious all NBA defensive team nod and what he means to this team, and the fact that they were able to move on from someone like Marcus Smart. I mean, he has he's a big reason for that, right? So again, if you're in his camp, if you're his agent, you're trying to maximize those dollars, and you're trying to duplicate what you did last year or even beyond that, which is obviously going to only get you even more money down the road. So I understand both sides, but if you're the Boston Celtics, you want at some point to lock in Derek White. You want him to be a part of your future.
Celtics Knicks 7 o'clock tonight. The line started close, 2.5. That kind of caught my eye a week ago. It's up to 3.5 now on our FanDuel official sports wagering partner. What are you expecting tonight? It's a tough lineup. It's a big team. We found out Al Horford's going to be coming off the bench at shoot-around here, so they're going to go with that small lineup against a bigger team and just play their game. And it looked like a great group to close the preseason, but what are you anticipating?
I'm anticipating a heck of a performance out of not only Jason Tatum, but this team from an offensive standpoint. I think this could be a blowout, Bobby. I really do think this is sort of that set the stage, send the message, but I think it goes beyond that. I think this is more about them. I don't think this is a team right now going into the first game of the season saying that, oh, we're going to show to everyone that we're the absolute best. No, I just think they're in their own way of becoming the best team that they could be, and I just think they're going to run all over the New York Knicks in this one. I mean, that's just my opinion. It could be. I think it will be a close game, though. I just think you're going to see a lot of high-power offense out of this team. It could be a close game, but if I'm a betting man, I think the Celtics win by maybe double digits or something close to that.
Could be tight. Could be down the wire. That's what I'm expecting, given that line. And we saw a crazy one here a couple of years ago, double overtime opening night. I'm excited for it. It's a great test. This team beat the Celtics 3 times last year. Different rosters, but similar dynamics in this matchup. I'm Bobby Manning. This is Josue Pavon. We'll have all the coverage here starting pregame. If you see us out, if you're here in New York, we might be out doing some interviews right before the game, so look out for us out front of MSG. And Celtics post-game tonight. If you missed our bold predictions episode, we did that last night as well. CLNS Media, Celtics All Access, and this has been a shoot-around version of the Garn Report. Talk to you later tonight.